Hi, I'm a Sand Recap, and this is a movie to get. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. In the wake of King T'Challa's passing, the people of Wakanda fight to defend their homeland from outside forces. Shuri works tirelessly in her lab at the beginning of the movie as T'Challa is dying of an unknown illness and she hopes to find a cure. Ramonda greets her when she discovers a potential solution and informs Shuri solemnly that her brother has passed away. Wakanda organizes a funeral procession for their cherished king. A mural of T'Challa has been painted, and every citizen dresses in white. Until a ship arrives to lift T'Challa, Shuri and Ramonda bring his body out. While the kingdom performs the Wakandan salute, Shuri spends one last moment weeping over the body of her brother. Ramonda arrives at the United Nations a year later. Wakanda is criticized by the U.S. Secretary of State for failing to fulfill their pledge to become involved in international affairs. The French SOS also says that they think the Wakandans are keeping vibranium so they can make weapons of mass destruction. Ramonda responds that they are still grieving the loss of T'Challa and are aware of the consequences if vibranium fell into the hands of outsiders. Mercenaries attempting to acquire vibranium had entered a Mali outreach facility the night before, but they were met by Dora Milaje warriors led by Okoye, who promptly rendered them powerless. The captured mercenaries are then brought before the UN by the Dora Milaje, where Okoye makes them kneel. Ramonda warns them before they leave that this kind of repeated attempt will be met with a fierce response. A vibranium detecting machine is used by a CIA team led by Dr. Graham in the Atlantic Ocean. Just before the two divers are kidnapped and killed by unseen attackers, they discover that their mining drill has been destroyed underwater. The Tolokans, a blueskin tribe, appear a moment later and proceed to attack the ship, killing everyone aboard. Dr. Graham and her companion make an attempt to flee in a helicopter, but Tolokan leader Namor grabs the helicopter and throws it into the ocean. When Ramonda and Okoye return to Wakanda, she discovers that Shuri is still working on new technology. Shuri refuses her mother's suggestion that she continue developing her synthetic herb in the shape of a heart in order to bring back the Black Panther because she believes that the Black Panther is a relic and that the only reason she attempted to recreate the herb was to save T'Challa. After that, Ramonda takes Shuri to the water to try to burn their ceremonial clothes to end the mourning and start celebrating T'Challa's life. Shuri expresses her rage at the world for the death of her brother. Ramonda and Shuri are greeted by Namor shortly after, who informs them that he was dissatisfied with T'Challa's decision to expose Wakanda to the rest of the world. Namor explains that this left T'Challa's kingdom open and vulnerable to attackers due to the Tolokans' possession of vibranium. Namor tells them to find the scientist who made the vibranium detecting machine and bring him to him or he will attack Wakanda. Additionally, he instructs them not to reveal his existence to anyone else. Okoye is assigned by Ramonda to go find the scientist, but Shuri goes with her despite her mother's objections. She and Okoye travel to Virginia to locate Everett Ross and inquire about the scientist there. Ross surprises them by revealing that the scientist is Riri Williams, a MIT teen. Shuri goes to Riri's dorm room and tells her that she needs to go with them. She also finds out that the CIA got Riri's vibranium detecting machine as a class project. Until Okoye comes out of her bathroom and tells Riri to go with them, Riri doesn't see the urgency. Shuri and Okoye are taken by Riri to her garage, where she works on her projects. The ladies are compelled to react quickly and flee when FBI agents arrive at the garage. While Shuri and Okoye attempt to drive Riri away, she receives her own iron armor suit that enables her to fly. Riri flies high enough to shoot it down before running out of oxygen as a drone pursues them. Shuri and Okoye can continue their journey because the drone crashes into a number of police cars. Unfortunately, the Tolokans corner them on a bridge, throw a water bomb at them, and Shuri loses consciousness, which stops them. Riri also shows up on the scene, and the Tolokans try to take her. Okoye fights with them and appears to kill 3 soldiers before going up against the General Atuma. He almost kills her with her spear, but she shocks him out of it, and the other 3 Tolokans get up unharmed. She is thrown off the bridge when Okoye tries to keep fighting. Shuri regains consciousness and requests that the Tolokans bring her along, which they do, along with Riri. Ross meets Contessa Valentina DeFontaine, who is now the CIA director, when he goes to the crime scene on the bridge the following day. Ross stealthily transports Shuri's Kimoyo beads after discovering them. Okoye goes back to Wakanda to ask Ramonda to lead a team underwater to find Shuri. However, Ramonda removes Okoye from her position as Dora Milaje and her rank as a general because she failed to keep Shuri safe. Ramonda asks her AI Griot to follow Shuri's beads when she goes to her lab. She gets in touch with Ross, who talks to her secretly while Val is away. He informs Ramonda that the CIA believes Wakanda was behind the attack on the mining ship, but Ramonda is unable to provide much information regarding Namor's role. Ramonda travels to Haiti and discovers that Nakia has been employed at a school ever since the blip. Ramonda points out that Nakia was not present at Chala's funeral, despite the fact that she and Ramonda are delighted to see each other. Despite Ramonda's reminder that for Wakandan's death is never the end, Nakia tells her that she couldn't bear to think of it as the end of his life. She requests Nakia's assistance in saving Shuri. Because she has seen Namor and has described his legend as 𝐓𝐚𝐠𝐬, or the feathered serpent god, Nakia decides to speak with a local village woman in the Yucatan Peninsula. Shuri receives traditional attire to wear prior to meeting Namor in Talocan. He begins to explain his background to her. In 1571, his mother lived in a village that had been plagued by smallpox since the Spanish conquistadors arrived. In search of salvation, the populace prayed to the god Chak. They ingested a blue substance that was found under the water. While it helped them get better, it turned their skin blue and made them have to stay underwater because they couldn't breathe. Namor was born in a way that set him apart from the others. He had wings on his ankles and could breathe on land and underwater. When he went to bury his mother, he found the conquistadors raiding the village and enslaving the people. He was heartbroken because he had missed her life on the surface. One priest referred to Namor as un neo sin amor, which is how Namor got his name because he has no love for the surface world. Namor and the Talokans attacked. He takes Shuri further and shows her his kingdom, which is like Wakanda and is a prosperous and thriving nation. He then asks Shuri to help protect their kingdoms from the outside world. Nakia begins her search for Riri and Shuri. Ramonda, on the other hand, meets Namor following her conversation with Ross, who informed her that the CIA wants to take action against Wakanda for the attack on the mining ship. He warns Ramonda against taking retaliatory action against the Wakandans if they threaten Talokan's exposure when she tells Namor to accept responsibility for it. Before Namor's cousin Namor can attack Shuri, Nakia navigates the water and defeats her. Shuri is taken by another Talokan warrior, but Nakia strikes her with a fatal sonic blast. She makes it away with Shuri and Riri, but Namor discovers the warrior as she passes away and interprets it as an attack on Wakanda. He orders his warriors to strike back. Nakia and Okoye reunite in the city, but they don't realize they're under attack until they see the flooding. The Talokans begin to waterbomb the city, destroying buildings and flooding areas. Shuri makes an effort to retaliate with her technology while M'Baku commands his Jabari warriors in battle. Ramonda and Riri are sunk when Namor makes it to the palace and heavily waterbombs it. Shuri is instructed by Namor to join them in the assault on the surface world or Wakanda will be destroyed completely. Riri is dragged to the surface by Ramonda, but they are both unconscious. Riri is brought back to life by the Dora Milaje, but Ramonda is no more. Ramonda's funeral is held. As Chala requested, M'Baku tries to console Shuri and offer advice, but she is grieving the loss of her entire family. In the meantime, Val has Ross detained after discovering that he was secretly speaking with Ramonda. Shuri completes her Midnight Angel suits for Okoye and another Dora Milaje warrior, Annika, while Riri works on her own iron suit while the rest of Wakanda prepares for Namor's return. Shuri discovers that the Talokans used a substance to live underwater in the bracelet Namor gave her. She mixes it with Chala's DNA to successfully create a synthetic herb in the shape of a heart. Shuri takes the herb with Nakia and Okoye, enters the ancestral plane, and hopes to find Ramonda to help her. Instead, she is greeted by Killmongr, a dreadful presence. He says that she sees him because she wants to get back at Namor for the death of her mother and her anger over the death of her brother, and that she is like him. Killmonger also asserts that Chala was too pious and would have spared Namor like he did Zemo after his father's death. Shuri can't tell Nakia that she saw Killmonger and feels like her mother and brother abandoned her when she wakes up. She goes, however, to look for her own helmet because she is aware that she must now lead the kingdom in battle. Shuri descends for the first time in her brand new Black Panther costume as a ship flies overhead as the tribes debate their next move. M'Baku declares with pride that the Black Panther is still alive. After that, Shuri gives a speech to everyone outlining what they need to do next. Shuri and Riri devise a strategy for weakening Namor so that they can defeat him by moving him toward a dry area. To get ready for battle, the Wakandans board a ship and send a signal to another vibranium detecting machine to get the Talokans to come to them. The Talokans attempt to board the ship while Dora Milaje and Jabari warriors retaliate in their showdown. While Okoye and Annika arrive in their Midnight Angel outfits, Riri emerges in her brand new Ironheart armor suit. Namor reaches a height at which Riri can launch a blast at him, but Shuri catches him in her ship and begins to evaporate the water from his skin. While Okoye faces Atuma again, Riri is attacked by Namor. While Okoye knocks Atuma off the ship, Riri launches Namor into the ocean. Shuri fights Namor with her suit as he tries to break the ship with his spear. Shuri tries to get the ship to fly toward the desert,
but Namor breaks it down and destroys it, which leads to their crash. Namor maintains enough strength to beat Shuri and impale her as the two continue their fight.
Shuri is able to free herself and heal herself thanks to Killmonger's words before returning to fighting Namor. She fires enough heat at Namor with the exhaust from her ship to severely weaken him. She grabs his spear and gets ready to strike, but then she gets a vision of Ramonda talking to her and telling her to show him who she really is. Namor complies with Shuri's order to yield so that neither of their people will be subjected to their retaliatory efforts. He gives in, and he is brought back to the Tolokans so that they can end their fight and go home. After that, Shuri sends Riri back to Boston, but she tells her that she has to leave her suit there because she is afraid that the US will start fighting with Wakanda again. She does, however, present Riri with the repaired car that belonged to her father.
Back in Talokan, Namor tells Namora that because they don't have any other allies to protect them, it was necessary for them to join Wakanda, which will benefit them. In the meantime, Okoye sets out to free Ross from his captivity. Shuri goes to Haiti to meet Nakia on a beach because she says she needs to do something. She eats in front of a campfire, burns her ceremonial clothes, and then she talks about T'Challa and finally mourns his death. During the credits, Nakia brings a boy named Toussaint, who is Shuri's nephew and the son of Nakia and T'Challa. Ramonda met him before she died, and Nakia confirms that he has been peacefully residing there. Shuri is informed by Toussaint that T'Challa is his Wakandan name. Knowing that her brother's legacy will continue, Shuri sits and smiles. We see a dedication to Chadwick Boseman as the final thing.